What's up, everybody? This is Cole Boling with the Boling Group at Keller Williams Realty, One Legacy Partners here in Topeka, and you are listening to Topeka Business Uncensored. Here we go. Hey, everybody, it's Cole Boling back again with Topeka Business Uncensored, and today I have a newer business, been around a couple years now, but I'm really excited this because you want to talk about a grassroots, homegrown, just a business that people are just thriving about. They love it. They've got some great product. Today, I have Darlene Morgan with me, and she is the owner of Milk and Honey Coffee Company. It is in Southeast Topeka. And I'll tell you what, I've been a customer. It's fantastic. The idea, the concept, the product, not just the coffee, but everything else. But I will let her tell you about it. You're not going to get it from a better source. So welcome, Darlene. Thank you for being on today.
Cole. Hi, thanks for having me. I appreciate it so much.
Absolutely. So tell everybody about your business and what you guys do. Some of you maybe about your mission and what you're all about.
Okay. Right on. Well, first of all, I'm a co-owner, and actually we have a couple of owners. I consider a couple. The other one is Chris Hartman. He's a direct co-owner business partner that is also here at the shop. And then I really think that we have a third partner, and that is Blue Jazz Coffee Roasters, the owner of that, Kevin Connard, who actually, kind of came up with the concept of, more of a coffee shop for us. And so the three of us came together and really just started, this coffee shop slash deli, just cafe, whatever you want to call it, over here in East Topeka.
Okay. So what all do you guys offer inside of your shop?
Okay.
Am I losing you a little bit?
So we open on, are you there?
Yeah, I lost you a little bit there. You're good now. I can see you.
Okay. It's telling me my internet connection is unstable. I think because I'm outside.
I've got you right now, so you're good. Keep going. You're good.
Okay. All right, Cole. So we open on 3/16 of 2020, and I call it 3/16/2020 because, honestly, for the first year we were saying, yeah, we opened March 16th. And it was literally on our 1 year anniversary that we wanted to develop this new drink. My daughter thought of, this lemonade refresher, and she wanted to call it the 316 refresher. And so Chris, the other owner, he's like, okay, well, let's look that up, make sure there isn't anything else associated with 316. And it's like the first thing that pops up is John 316. And we're like, really? How did we miss that? Because we had tried opening so many days, months before, and it never worked out. I mean, we tried opening in October, and the city just there's so many hoops that you have to jump through and things that you have to do to open up a local business. A lot of it is really meant to protect and make sure that you're doing the right thing. But anyway, back to the date, I think 3/16 was the day that we were actually meant to open, even though it was 3 days before the pandemic began.
It's funny, that date is real in my life too, because that day my wife and I were living in Florida, and we decided to come back to Kansas to surprise my father-in-law for his birthday. And that was when they started going real crazy with, hey, what's going on? We're getting ready to shut down. Like things were starting to get really hairy. And it was like, all of a sudden, by the time we drove back, because we drove from Florida, by the time we got back, boom, shut down. So that whole week right in there, I'll never forget that week. That was a scary week for everybody. And yet you launched a business at the beginning of a pandemic, and you're still here. I mean, that's a feat in itself. So talk to me a little bit about what was it like to start a business in the pandemic and be successful?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I watch some of the news. I talk to people and, pick up on a few things here and there, as I see them, maybe on social media or something. But, I heard people were getting sick and there was a virus going around. But honestly, I think we were so consumed with just opening the business, making sure everything was going to go smooth. We were doing these soft openings. Opening a shop is new for Chris and I. I mean, for me personally, I've had a couple of other stints, being an entrepreneur, but nothing like this at all. So when we opened, it honestly wasn't on my mind. It probably wasn't until, a couple days in that, we got a letter, or actually we got um, a phone call from the county and an email that said, hey, all businesses are going to have to shut down, close their doors. If you have a drive through, you can utilize that. And that's honestly when it just, it hit me hard. I remember
Mm-hmm.
sitting in my living room with my daughters. I've got three daughters, and I just felt like this feeling of shock and sadness and fear.
Mm-hmm.
And um, it was overwhelming because, it's hard enough opening your shop. It's hard enough. There's just so many things you have to think about.
Yeah.
And then when you throw something on top of that, that is going to, you know, put things back, it's going to change how you do everything on top of just the regular operations. Um, it can set a lot of anxiety inside of you. So
So
it was.
how'd you fight through it? What'd you do?
How I fought through it. That's a great question because honestly, I'm going to give a lot of props to our team. Our team is made up of a lot of young people. We've got kids working here from ages 14 to young adults, single moms. At the time we had an empty nester and, you know, um, an older status and stuff. And, I remember walking into the shop feeling just distraught. And I remember a couple of the young students here. They were one was just out of school, one was finishing school, and they were just like, "Okay, what are we gonna do? How do we make this
Mm-hmm.
work? If we need to, we can run coffee out to the cars. We can stand outside." And I'm just like, "Wow, you guys are just you're into this." And
Mm-hmm.
I just thought, hey, it still didn't take away, the fear and the apprehensions, but it was a huge part of getting through it was the team because we've got some young people working here that it keeps me going. It literally keeps me
That
going.
gave me chills. Listen to that, because I mean, I wrote down something here, and it says the team. It's like the team makes the dream, right?
Yeah.
Because we are entrepreneurs, and when we get in the space between our ears is our biggest enemy, right? And
Oh my gosh.
when we get stuck there, we
Yeah.
can't sometimes get out. But you go and you have a team, and your team's looking at you for leadership and guidance, and
Oh yeah.
you have to get out of your own way. Like, it really can propel you forward. So anybody that's
Yeah.
listening to this, if you do have a business and you're thinking about starting a business, it's okay not to try to do it all yourself. When you have
Right.
team members and you have people just like Darlene here has, you can really push forward because now there's a bigger picture at play. There's other people at play. And then you go and you got younger kids who are like, yes, so what, right? Well, we there's a million ways to skin this cat.
Yeah,
A lot
they're
of people want
innovative.
to give, yeah, I mean, a lot of people want to give this generation, whatever generation it is now, right? They want to give them a hard time about being lazy and all this other stuff. But the one thing that people don't understand about this generation is they're creative, they're strategic. They come up with so many different
They're
ways to
courageous
do
too.
things, and they're very courageous. And that's awesome that you are employing people from as young as 14 all the way up to, like you said, single people, right?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, honestly, and I say it, and I post about it all the time. I don't know what I would do without him. I don't know, but so I want to make sure that I get something else out there. I think the other component to that, and it's a huge component, is my faith in Christ. I mean,
Beautiful.
honestly, that has gotten me through some things from when I was super small up until now. And it's not until you encounter these challenges and then you've gone through them that you realize, okay, I got through that. I'm here now. And so I really need to just take a step back. It's going to be fine. Is it going to be
Mm-hmm.
easy? No, I mean, you're going to have to do some things different. And so, my faith has gotten me through tons of stuff. Honestly,
Talking about the faith
right,
and your faith in Christ, and you have faced adversity. I mean, there's been, other than the pandemic, you had some challenges with the city of Topeka, right? Or
right,
in Shawnee County or something. Talk
right.
a little bit about that and how you were able to overcome that. And because this almost destroyed you guys as a business as well, from my understanding. And yet here we are today, strong as ever, moving
Yeah.
forward. So talk a little bit about that adversity and what you went through.
Okay. I want to start off with, right from the beginning, when you're opening a business in Shawnee County, there are several steps and that you absolutely have to go through. And I just want to touch on those briefly. When we came up with the idea and the business plan and we spoke to our bank like in July of 2019, in our minds we thought, hey, this building's in decent shape and the owner was very active and willing to help. And we thought, we're just going to throw some paint on, we're going to remove this, cover this up, and this and that. And, only to discover you cannot do that. You can't, you have to hire architects, you have to hire contractors, and, part of that, I think it's really good because, if you don't have the idea of, what to do electrically and with the plumbing, that's where, it can really come into play, and you need that professionalism. So a lot of it's really good, but I still feel like there was other areas that for a small business owner like ourselves, where, Chris is putting all of his retirement money into it, you know, I can't think of a lot of people that have this huge lump sum of money to just say, I can do all this and hire whatever I
Sure.
need. There are things that I still feel like we could have done ourselves without having to go through, professionals and stuff that cost us, thousands of extra dollars,
Sure.
just to satisfy, the county's guidelines and stuff. And that's hard, for local businesses, local owners, entrepreneurs, it's really tough. And so, when people say, hey, they make it difficult to open, um, that's true. And, I've always felt like, I want there to be guidelines, I want there to be rules, but I want them to be in a way where the Shawnee County looks at each business as its own entity. Okay, how much does this business actually need help from? How much does this business actually need to hire all these agencies and stuff to help them with? I think it's a case by case basis. And so when we came up with the concept in July, we had to go through 4 different meetings just to even get approved to start the business. You had to go through a planning commission, you had to go
Mm-hmm.
through through a board, through a neighborhood meeting, and then finally the city council, you know to do all this. And it's frustrating, and it's very it can make a person feel defeated. But
Yeah, that's just
that's where
crazy.
you got to persevere, you just got to keep going. And honestly, Cole, I cannot imagine if I hadn't continued to work at the same time, if we didn't have Chris's retirement, if we didn't have, the expertise of Kevin Connard, who's, helping us, navigate these steps, to
Mm-hmm.
say, hey, just keep going. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And so, I mean, that's
It,
just the start of it.
it makes you kind of wonder what if they don't do that as what, like a grit factor for you, right? Like maybe the city, and I'm just throwing this out there, maybe the county does that to people so that they can make sure that these people can handle businesses long term, so they aren't
Yes,
seeing the turnover. Because if you just let
I love
everybody and
that.
anybody, I call it the grit factor, right? Where
I love it.
if 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 you can make it through our red tape, like jokes on you, but not really. Like you make it through this pain. I mean, just getting signage approved, right? Like
Right,
just all these
right.
things that is required. You make it through. You're probably not going to close your doors next week. You're going to fight
Right.
and keep
You're
fighting.
not going to be yeah, fly by night. I totally agree. I actually talked to someone about that too. It's like, hey, if you go through all of these stipulations, they're going to say, hey, you definitely are going to stick around. And I think that's super important for our city, that we definitely have businesses that, they really want to make it happen, and they want to see an improvement in our city. They
Mm-hmm.
want to do things that, are really going to make a difference, and, help wherever they're at. So, I love that concept, Cole. I think that's a great idea. And I think it is something that a lot, we need to think about when we're opening businesses here. I think there are things, like signage and stuff like that. It can be, a certain, there can be a little bit of,
Yeah.
flexibility in
Yeah.
it, certain things, but yeah.
Yeah. And how would you know though? Like, how would you have ever known that you couldn't just go slap some paint on and change some cabinets out and all that? Like, it's, and this is more for anybody listening to this. Like, these are things that a lot of people don't know and they don't really even think about, right?
Yeah.
And being in the real estate world and dealing with all this stuff on the regular basis, I do hear all these different things where people are like, "What? I got to do? Why do I have to do that?" And all that, and yet, like, when you are a new entrepreneur and you are opening a new business, like, it is very, very like running through mud, right? It's
It really
literally
is.
running through mud. Yet, if you went and did it again tomorrow, just think how much faster you'd be.
Oh my
And
gosh, all the
and so yeah.
experience you've gained, and that
Mm-hmm.
experience that you can share with other young entrepreneurs, with other new people that are starting out. And we get, several people come to us and say, hey, what did it take? Because I'm thinking about doing this. So what do I need to know? There's agencies out there. I think, there's Kansas Network, and of course, our bank, Heritage Bank, was tremendous in
Yep.
helping us. I mean, they had a lot of knowledge themselves to help a local business. And so there's them, there's a small business administration. You know, you
Yes.
you got to take the time to dig and get that information. And it just takes a lot of perseverance and patience to do it. You just got to be patient.
Talk to me a little bit about your mission.
Yeah.
So what is your mission? Why are you so compelled to do this?
I think it's just, for me personally, I know Chris has his own mission, and he's very driven as well, to help the community. For me personally, I've thought of this for years. I haven't thought about that it would be coffee or anything like that. Even as when I was young, I thought, hey, I want to be, a family psychologist. I want to help families. I got that because, my family's going through difficulties. And I think I
Sure.
don't want others to experience this. So, what can I do to help others? How do I use my trials and challenges to help others? So, I mean, I've kind of gone through, a few different missions in life, but it's never deviated away from being community driven, from helping others, from making a difference. So, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
my jobs, I worked at Family Service and Guidance Center as, you
Sure.
know,
Yeah.
in the crisis department, so helping families. And then I worked with the district attorney's office, helping victims of domestic violence. Um, when I was going through a pretty difficult divorce, I, you know, found ways to help others, but at the same time, help myself. So I did, like, sports photography, and helping people mow their yards. I mean, it's just kind of like something that, I don't know, it's just been a component in my life, and it's something that I try to teach my girls, that, if you're going to do something, giving to others is one of the most gratifying things that you can do for yourself. If you're
Yeah.
just, it's just that basic concept of paying it forward, and how those things, they, what it makes you feel inside. Um, honestly, when I think about, the shop itself, when we, when Kevin, Chris, and I got together, I remember us meeting, we met at World Cup. And I remember us talking about it, and I told Kevin, I said, I, first of all, I want it in an area where it's needed. I'm not going
Yeah.
to go out to Wanamaker. I'm
Well,
not
you
going to
hit that
go.
on the head.
I'm not going to go where there's just like this plethora of other, even, just small cafes. I want to go where
Sure.
it's needed. Not to mention the fact that, you have to go where your comfort is. I live over here by Lake Shawnee. I'm a graduate of Highland Park High School.
Okay.
So I was talking about the mission. And so, Kevin, Chris, and I, we got together at World Cup. I remember this because, they serve Blue Jazz there. And I'm like, okay, you know what, this is good. Let's try this out. Let's just get the atmosphere and the feel of it. And I remember talking to Kevin and Chris, and I'm like, I'm not going to go somewhere where it's saturated with other coffee
Mm-hmm.
shops and other, small cafes and stuff like that. I said, my mission is I want to bring these two communities together. I live by Lake Shawnee. I'm a graduate of Highland Park High School. So I want to bring these communities together. Not only that, I'm thinking in my head about Highland Park and the whole community itself, and how, I want to create this safe place for kids to go, where they can go, they could sit, there could be
Mm-hmm.
mentoring, there could be ministering, tutoring, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember them looking at me and saying, yeah, hey guys. I remember them looking at me saying, yeah, I don't know, we probably really need to focus on coffee and, you know, the barista end of it, espresso, and, selling sandwiches. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I feel like God's just telling me there's something more to it. And me
Mm-hmm.
personally, it's like, if you tell me, yeah, you're only going to do this, I'm absolutely going to say, why? Why
Mm-hmm.
am I only going to do that if I'm capable of so much more?
Yeah.
And so, when it got going and stuff like that, of course, it takes a while to literally create, that mission that you have. I mean, you still have to get like the business end of it. But once
Mm-hmm.
we got going, honestly, I think this is where the pandemic, in this strange way, was a blessing in disguise. And I don't get me wrong here. I don't want this for anybody. I'm sorry
Sure.
that happened. I still wish it hadn't. We could do it without. But when it all came down, a couple of us were thinking, well, how do we get the community's minds off of this? We're selling them coffee. We want to make them happy. We want to make them comfortable and feel okay about, what we're doing, and that, we're not touching their cup in a certain way. There's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
fear in everybody. And that's where, Cole, I know it was meant to be. It was like, okay, this is more than a coffee shop, because, a couple of them were thinking about, well, let's write messages on the cups. And so we kind of thought about that, and we're like, yeah, something inspirational. And we're like, okay, can't write directly on the cup. That's, too risky. And my daughter's like, well, let's write them on the coffee sleeves. So that's
Mm-hmm.
where the idea of writing these messages on the sleeves, and Cole, it just took off. And that's where I started feeling like, oh, I see what you're doing. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's it. And all of a sudden, you start realizing that your mission is coming to fruition. It's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And how much more can you do with it? And so little by little, we just start doing, more and more. Then it gravitates into bringing local artists in, and displaying their work. And we don't charge them. Why am I going to charge a local artist
Yeah.
when
He's already
they're
not making a
trying
lot of
to?
money.
Yeah, exactly. These artists here, and I talk to them, I'm like, hey, if you really start making bank here or something, we'd love a little kickback. But for now,
Sure. Yeah. That's
we're
the
trying to
point.
help
Yeah.
you get started.
Yeah.
And then it gravitates into, we get these students involved, not just working here, their first time jobs, but giving them these life skills that they need to
Mm-hmm.
move into the future. And then we get the students, the high school, we get this contest going with, the mural of, the murals on both sides of the building, because we know
Yeah.
there's talent. We know there's talent out there that we want to display it. Why limit it?
That's
So
awesome. That's
it's
awesome.
it's exciting. You got me going. It's just exciting, and I really appreciate you doing this, because it makes it so much more real to see it happening.
Well, and I think that the thing that's coming through from to me is like how much you really are passionate about this. Like
Yeah.
We really haven't even talked about the business itself, right? Like
I know, I'm
what
sorry.
no, this is great, because what this tells me is it doesn't matter what the business is. It is about the people. If the person is passionate about doing a mission of helping others, writing little positive sayings, it's the little things that we do that help a bigger picture, right? Like nobody changes the world overnight. It's one step at a time, right? And even God didn't create the world in one sitting, right? And so as we look at what you're talking about, and what I love so much about this is I've gotten the chills a little bit listening to that, that the little, just like, it just makes me tingle, and the positive, and really seeing your passion for your people, your business, and it's like you said, it's not necessarily about the coffee, right? Like if you're displaying artwork for people, if you're selling local honey, if you're whatever it may be, right? Like there are so many more aspects and facets of this. And then the coolest thing is you're just getting started.
I guess so. We're only into our second year here.
Yeah, I mean, you're
unreal.
You're still elementary school, right? Like we're still in it's a marathon, not a sprint. And I think that's the other thing a lot of people don't think about with businesses is like everybody wants everything now. Like it's got to be right now. And I'm no exception to that, right? I mean, at the end of the day, I help people build businesses. I understand businesses. And yet the one thing that always comes back is everybody has a hard time with being patient. And the Lord is patient, right? And our mission has to be about patient, and we have to be patient to know that it's just one more day, right? If we show up one more day, it doesn't need to be 1 more week, 1 more year, nothing. 1 more day, and we go 1 more day and 1 more day, and that's how we're doing it, right?
That is so absolutely true. I mean, I try to teach my girls that, where they feel like, oh my gosh, I've got to accomplish this now, or I have to deal with this issue right now. Mm-hmm. And I've learned over my lifetime that, hey, guess what? That problem is going to be there tomorrow. It's okay. So, I mean, and we've learned that in our business too, where, as we learn how to staff, how to stock, how to purchase, when to purchase, how much stuff to keep, and all those aspects of building a business. I mean, you learn that every day you're going to have something else that you need to learn and just accomplish.
Yeah, I love this. I did, it's funny because you can drive by a business all day long, right? And you can see, oh, that's pretty, they got a nice building, they're doing some cool things. But it really takes these conversations with business owners to really understand that there's a lot more behind the scenes that we don't see in the customers. I mean, even if you look at the people probably in your drive-through right now, like they think you sell coffee, but really you're selling a dream, and you're selling a lifestyle, and you're empowering younger people. You're bringing in all these different facets from a faith-based business to a family business, to a friends and family business, to a coffee business. And I think that's one of the things I love about doing this podcast with business owners, and I've had cafe owners and attorneys on here, and corporate executives, and everything comes back to one thing, is they really do care about people, and they want the best for people, and people love coffee, and yet it's really just, it's the vehicle that's taking you to your goal. It's the avenue that you're following. And I love what you're doing. I think that your business is phenomenal. And I hope that I can, next time I'm on this side of town, I'm hoping the line isn't for me, because I'm being, greedy here. I hope the line isn't out the street so I can get up there and get something. But for you, I hope the line is always out the street.
I appreciate that.
And thank you so much for being on here today. I know you and I could cover a lot, and I don't want to take up all your day. However, I hope that if you're listening to this and you're understanding that there is so many other businesses in our community, that if you don't go to the southeast side of town ever, if you're a Southwest person, take the trip.
Take the time.
Take the time. I would say you're right behind the McDonald's, but they just leveled that whole McDonald's. However,
what's up, everybody? This is Cole Boling with the Boling Group at Keller Realty, One Legacy Partners here in Topeka, and you are listening to Topeka Business Uncensored. Here we go.
Just hip, fun, exciting little place. And I hope everybody listening can go. What's that?
Locally sourced.
Like all the stuff in here. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Local honey, all that kind of stuff. Tea Creek, and Pfeiffer honey. We try to do as much local products as we can. So
it's so much better for the body too to eat local. Like it's so much better for your allergies. It's so much better for everything in your body. So if you want some real local, good, wholesome food that you can get, go check out Milk and Honey Coffee Company. And thank you, Darlene, for being on here today. It was such a great meeting you. Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
And when this airs, I'm hoping that you are in, it should be out probably in the middle of June. And so if you're listening to this now, go over Milk and Honey, check it out. And thanks again for being on today, Darlene.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right.
So much.
You have a good day.
You. All right. You too. All right. We'll see ya.
You've been listening to Topeka Business Uncensored, where we interview business owners in the Topeka, Kansas area about their business and a little bit about them as a person. I'm Cole Boling, and I am one of the co-owners with my wife, Jamie, of the Boling Group real estate team with Keller Williams, One Legacy Partners in Topeka. If you are thinking about selling, buying, or investing in real estate, I'd love to connect with you through our website at thebolinggroup.com.